Hey, good morning, traders. Day after Christmas here. Volatility is, believed to be lower here, but this could be a buy the rumor, buy Christmas, and sell the news event. So let's be very mindful of that going into today's situation here. Some main takeaways here on the left side here on my charts, I've got the adjusted Russell charts, and then or on the left side, and then on the right side, I got the unadjusted charts, and you got basically completely different charts here, showing up here between the adjusted and unadjusted. And what we had going on so far this week here, when we got into these highs up here uh, on this day right here, we had negative gamma expansion at this price point up here on the IWM, and then we also that same very day we had positive gamma expansion in the VIX as VIX was trading underneath 14, which we did that again Christmas Eve, and now this morning we're bouncing back above 14 again this morning on the VIX. I don't have the latest updates from Christmas Eve, but there's a good chance that that trend has continued going into today, and we're basically less than the gamma, the negative gamma situation. We're be below 1% of the gamma exposure uh, for the entire calendar year of 2025 on the VIX. Really high odds that hey, the VIX that doesn't the downside reward is not going to be very good on volatility. But it could continue. You never know. But my main takeaway here, this has given us a warning sign. We've obviously hit some. We've entered into a high volatile area here on the Russell, seeing how this extreme range, okay, and rejection. Okay, so it's not all sunny. What they've done, they are sacrificing the Russell to push up the S&Ps, to push up the Nasdaq. So be very mindful of that in your trading. Okay, this is not one that I would be looking to the long side personally, but technically on the unadjusted contracts, we have still held support. So it's not really a problem until we start losing Christmas Eve's lows. Okay, so technically, Christmas Eve lows, that was technically a buy the dip. That is still a valid buy the dip scenario. Uh, Personally, because of the high volatility in this price point, I personally wouldn't want to be in that. Now, if you look at the adjusted contracts, okay, we are still below resistance here. Uh, this head and shoulders resistance, we are still trading below that. So, that's something to be mindful there. So, if you're thinking this is some sort of a sloppy head and shoulders, seeing that massive support head, shoulders, potential breakdown, even though we came up there, this could still be a valid head and shoulders breakdown. Uh, just still playing out off of a lower high. So be very mindful of that. See, this actually, if you go from the highs here, if I can get this to come up here, if you do a fib extension off of that level right there, you know, it's obvious we came all the way down into this area down here, overshot a little bit, then we rebounded. Okay, so now, uh, you know, there could be a lot of value starting to build out this lower price point. As you can see, we spent a much more time down in this price zone than we did up into this price zone. Okay, so this is actually probably a much more valid head and shoulders pattern. This could just be this entire thing could be the head on the adjusted contracts. So be very mindful of that. So remove that. Let's try this again. Add Fibonacci. That's that. Okay. This gives you some idea of what we could be starting to play out here on the Russell. Okay, guys. We could be targeting now the 2450 area, 2460 area for a bigger head and shoulders pattern. uh, as traders. Uh, so just definitely keep this on watch. This a very, uh, very real possibility. Okay, and if you do the same thing over here on the other ones, remove, drawing. If we do the same thing over here, uh, and that, you so basically that same scenario over here would put us way down here. 2460 on the other one. This one here is actually, we have a main support down here on the non-adjusted contracts, and I think, in my opinion, that is a much more valid view, and that would project us all the way down to 2430, down to our main support, which the adjusted contracts we're not getting there. So potentially 2430, if this proves to be a head and shoulders, and setting up for getting a lower high, head and shoulders breakdown. Bottom line is that's just a contrarian view right now. Just remember, guys, this is still holding support as of Christmas Eve. So we're not coming in this morning with that breaking down. So, just something to keep in the back of our minds that this might be developing. Uh, uh, you know, the adjusted contracts suggest we're into resistance, where the unadjusted contracts are still very much bullish. So be very mindful of that. You have to go with, in my opinion, to always lean with the unadjusted contracts, how they're trading. They will lead the way. Okay. And if they're holding a critical support area, you don't want to be overly shorting that sector of the markets. Okay. ES futures. Okay, guys. So in my opinion, based off of my trend lines and fibs, we could be into a major resistance area here for the ESs. Could be very much into a major resistance on the unadjusted contracts. So be very mindful of that in today's session. Okay. Now anything can happen. We'll see how it plays out here. So the unadjusted contracts, we had these prior highs, and we're currently just poking our nose above the adjusted contracts. But we really broke out hard on the unadjusted contracts. Okay, and so this may need to come all the way back down and back test this area right here. Okay, so be very mindful of that. That would bring us all the way back down to the uh, 6940 area here on the adjusted contracts. So be very mindful the same way with these. So that could bring us all the way back down to 6940 just for the back test area. Another thing here, you see where the pink is? It could just want to come back down to the 6950. That's another critical back test area. Okay, so anything can happen. We could just continue to go into blue skies territory, but I would strongly suggest that we might be uh, into a major resistance area. So just be very mindful of that before you come in here and try to load the boat to the long side in today's session. In Qs, okay, they're probably going to be the driving force to continue us higher here. Uh, So let's just definitely keep this one on watch here. So this here is our resistance zone right here. If you notice, we've done a lot of chop into this zone. So to think we're going to come in here and just completely fall out of bed may not be the best scenario. But so we'll just keep this on watch here. We do have a trend line right through here that actually hasn't been tagged yet. That suggests we might get a little bit more lift today here in the Nasdaq. So I'm not sure if that's going to happen or not, but we'll see. If you go and yeah, this right here is the main support. So as long as we're let me activate that. You see how that's lining up right there with that cross? Okay. So that's lining up with that cross really good here. Uh, so uh, we'll see what happens here. That could be a very major support right here on the adjusted contracts. We know this was nosebleed area before. You notice how hard they rejected there. So even coming back down and back testing that is still a very valid scenario. So be very mindful. We're into historically what has been nosebleed area in the markets, into a resistance area, potential resistance area. So be very mindful of that as we go forward here. Okay. Uh, we're kind of in, see, we're inside of this trading zone. Uh, just be very mindful here. We didn't find hard resistance in the past until we got up into this area up here on the NQs. So this here is on watch. I don't really see the NQs into solid resistance here. So be very mindful of that in your trading. I was watching this and it just I'm really pissed that I didn't pull the trigger. We saw early on, right out of the gate there, Christmas Eve, they used Apple to push the market higher, and basically Apple was trading below the daily SMA, SMAs at the top, EMAs at the bottom, and we found rejection at that price point. So we are not opening above the 20 SMA or EMA. We found resistance there on Apple, and that was the driving force. If you'd got in the opening seconds there Christmas Eve, you could have made over 100% on that trade on that big pop in Apple there Christmas Eve. I know a lot of people they're looking at Microsoft. They're trying to consider it a dip buy. I personally think Apple was a much better setup for a momentum trader. Momentum just is not on the side of Microsoft. One of the main moving averages, which I really like to keep a close eye on, that is the monthly 5 SMA and EMA. Okay, this range right here is your monthly 5 SMA at the top, I think, and EMA at the bottom. I'm pretty sure that's where they are. And so when you're trading below the monthly 5, areas, momentum is not on your side, in my opinion. And so trying to trade something like Microsoft below that area, you're not going to get your momentum traders to show up to the party. So you really need some sort of news-driven event to get things going. Another one that's doing that, I think Meta was doing that. Give me 1 second here. Find it here. Yeah, Meta. See, we're below the monthly 5 MAs on Meta. It does not have the momentum on its side when you're trading below that. Okay. You got charts like Google, well above the monthly 5. So that's just definitely something I want to keep on watch. Looking for a continuation of the pattern as long as the markets hold up. Here's one that I'm really getting interested in, people. We're currently trading right above the monthly 5 SMA here on Amazon. This thing here, I think it's just needing the news to get this thing going. Okay, so we've already had a really good day earlier this week on Amazon to get above that. Now, this always could be a look above and fell pattern. There could be some sort of news event to break this. But in my opinion, as long as we can hold above pre-market lows here, I mean, this is an all important area, these pre-market lows. As long as we continue to build a base above that, this, in my opinion, is a buy the dip, looking for an inverse head and shoulders breakout about to play out here on Amazon, that would potentially put us all the way back up to 244, 244 potential if we finally get momentum in this potential breakout here on uh, Amazon. So remember, it's holiday short, and this could all fall apart. We could just lose that 5 SMA. If we were to lose that 5 SMA, well, I'd be really careful. Okay, uh, that would be a big rejection of a major critical area. Okay. Another pattern that I really love here, and that is your AMD off this monthly 5 SMA. You see how the sellers were completely shut down here. So this here, and we're holding this support area right here. Okay. Uh, I'd much rather be a net long on into this zone down here. So if we were to come back down into the 212, 213 area, I would still much rather be a net long than a net short, given this massive squeeze we had right off of a very critical moving average. Okay, guys, Tesla. This is one of the ones I'm keeping a really close eye on here. I want to see uh, if we uh, finally start seeing rejection here at these opening prints on Tesla, and we're going into the bearish side of trend, potentially working our way into bearish side of trend here for a bigger correction. So I definitely want to keep this on watch. It doesn't have to do that. The trend's up, but that's something I definitely want to keep on watch. We had a nice little rebound uh, from Christmas Eve, right into this trend. This would be one of my top watches to see if Tesla could uh, be a change of character in Tesla. And the final one I'm looking at here, guys. So we've had a rocket ship move off the monthly 5 here on the NVIDIA. So this is a bullish structure. Okay. Uh, see how we did this all in after hours on this move right here. We did that through the cash session here. Okay. We're still getting a double top here on NVIDIA. So we are in a potential double top scenario. Okay. We definitely got to keep that on watch. But being above that monthly 5, I think that's our first main takeaway. Uh, you want to be buying support. I mean, knowing that price action is accepting above that monthly 5. Buy support until proven otherwise. Okay. So just definitely keep that in the back of your mind. Thanks for listening, and please like my video if you get a chance. And hopefully we can make some money today. Thanks a lot. Oh, if you didn't catch it, Amazon's my top watch. Okay, guys.